It was one of the worst referee games I've seen.
She fouled Caitlin Clark right here. Fouled her right there, bro.
In the first few games of the season, the officiating towards the Indiana Fever is very, very unfair.
If they call this call, Indiana Fever wins the game.
They hacked Bonner on a very crucial play that would have had the Indiana Fever up. The Indiana Fever go the other way, and there's no call.
Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White asserted that she thought the referees missed the call when speaking to the media.
I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable.
The WNBA referees are getting destroyed.
WNBA referees definitely have an agenda against Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. The WNBA, the referees was simply horrendous today, bro. That is a WNBA referee turning his back to Caitlin Clark and the Fever. Oh, my God. I mean, he literally got his back turned, ignoring Caitlin. I mean, this is bad. This is bad. This is beyond bad, bro.
2 minutes ago, everything changed in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark, known for her composure and leadership, finally snapped. After yet another game where the refs ignored blatant fouls, she let her frustration boil over. And this time, she exploded.
The referees loved to swallow their whistles at that time, that part of the game, but then again, they did not swallow their whistles with the foul call on Lexi Hall against Sabrina Ionescu just 3 seconds earlier.
The Indiana Fever were in a tight battle. The game was on the line. And when Caitlin got hit, everyone saw it, except the officials. No whistle, no call, just silence.
They're literally just running around hacking her. The referees have made it like a point that this is how you beat the Fever. You hack them. It's not being physical. You just hack them because the referees are going to allow them be hacked.
But what came next wasn't silence. Caitlin's reaction, her body language, and the way she confronted the moment, it said everything. The cameras caught it. The crowd felt it. And now the entire league is talking about it.
In this instance, there were similar fouls that were not getting called on the New York Liberty that were going towards the Fever. If you're going to call every ticky-tacky foul, okay, call it, but call it for both teams now.
This is more than just a missed call. This is about a pattern, about fairness, and about how one of the biggest stars in the sport is being treated. You're about to see why this moment is bigger than just basketball. To really understand why Caitlin Clark exploded on the WNBA referees, we need to rewind and look at what's been building up. Because this moment didn't come out of nowhere. This was frustration that had been simmering for games.
Right there was the foul on what should have been a foul call.
And look at her face after this. Look at her face because she knows she just got away with murder. She knows she just cheated.
Fever are furious postgame. No call on Bonner. Then they call Hull for a foul. Then Clark thought she was fouled by Cloud on the final possession. They just want consistency.
She fouled Caitlin Clark right here. Fouled her right there, bro. If they call this call, Indiana Fever wins the game.
Let's talk about what happened. The Indiana Fever walked into a tough matchup against the New York Liberty, one of the league's most stacked teams. From the tip-off, it was clear this was going to be a battle. But as the game went on, it became painfully obvious that the referees were not calling the game evenly. Every time the Fever drove into the paint, there was contact. Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, they were getting hacked, shoved, bumped. Yet the whistles stayed silent.
It is fine to not call these fouls if you're going to call it physical both ways, but it's touch fouls on the Fever and physical against Fever.
Meanwhile, on the other end, the Liberty were getting calls for far less contact. The final box score revealed something shocking, a -31 free throw discrepancy. That's not just a stat. That's a signal that something is seriously wrong. 31 more free throw attempts for one team? That changes the entire course of the game. And it wasn't just this one game. This has become a trend.
The thing about this game that really bothered me so much to no end is the fouls. And the Fever themselves were very upset in the post-game interview.
Go back to the Fever's game against the Atlanta Dream. Same story. Clark was getting harassed on drives. Obvious fouls were ignored. And once again, the referees just let it happen. The league's most watched rookie, a player drawing millions of new eyes to the WNBA, was being treated like an afterthought.
WNBA referee situation is really bad.
Breaking news hot off the press, so it looked like Stephanie White has called out the WNBA and the WNBA referees. Guys, for this one here, that is a WNBA referee turning his back to Caitlin Clark and the Fever. Oh, my God. I mean, he literally got his back turned, ignoring Caitlin. I mean, this is bad. This is bad. This is beyond bad, bro.
This pattern of bad officiating, or maybe deliberate neglect, started catching attention, and finally someone said what fans had been yelling at their screens for weeks. Stephanie White, the head coach of the Indiana Fever, had enough. After the Liberty game, she stepped in front of the media and didn't hold back.
I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. You know, a minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable.
She called the officiating egregious. She pointed out that her team isn't just taking jump shots. They're aggressively attacking the rim and still getting no respect from the officials. White didn't just sound frustrated. She sounded fed up. Here's what she said. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy, and I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim.
WNBA referees definitely have an agenda against Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. The Indiana Fever don't never get any calls, and at this point, it is getting completely ridiculous.
Some controversy on that last play, no doubt about it. In my opinion, it looked like Natasha Cloud probably fouled her. It was not called.
The disrespect for our team has been unbelievable, and she's right. You can see it in the body language of the players. You can hear it in the frustration boiling over. Caitlin Clark is out there fighting through double teams, absorbing contact, getting pulled and pushed, and the referees act like it's invisible. It's no longer about one missed call. This has become a pattern. And when the system fails to protect its rising stars, it sends a message, loud and clear, that certain teams just aren't going to get a fair shake.
This just proved everybody's point. They have an agenda against the Fever. There was 3 referees. None of them turned their head to even look at Caitlin Clark, acknowledge her at all.
This boiling tension reached its breaking point at the end of that Liberty game. And what happened next? That's the moment everyone is talking about. As the game between the Indiana Fever and New York Liberty came down to the final seconds, all eyes were on Caitlin Clark. The Fever were trailing by 2. It was a defining moment. One of those clutch situations where legends are made.
Look at how many free throws each team shoots next to the Indiana Fever. The Indiana Fever don't never get any calls, and at this point, it is getting completely ridiculous.
You know, a minus 31 free throw discrepancy.
The play was drawn up for Clark, just as it should have been. Everyone in the building knew who was getting the ball. She came off a screen, made her move, and prepared to take the shot. But before she even had a chance to release it, Liberty guard Natasha Cloud stepped in and made contact, grabbing, holding, and disrupting Clark's motion. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't clean. It was a foul, the kind you call every time in a situation like that. But the referees didn't call anything.
And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing, you know, that it doesn't go both ways, or it hasn't gone both ways. But we also can't allow that to consume us, right? Like, we've got to be able to play through that. We've got to be able to control the things that we can control.
Clark's reaction was immediate and emotional. She threw her arms up, punched the air in frustration, and stared at the officials in disbelief. It was the raw reaction of a player who had just watched a fair shot at a game-tying moment be taken away by the very people assigned to keep the game honest.
Right there was the foul on what should have been a foul call.
And look at her face after this. Look at her face, because she knows she just got away with murder. She knows she just cheated.
Replays of the play left no doubt. The contact was clear. Cloud's arm made contact with Clark's shoulder, disrupting her rhythm and preventing her from rising into her shooting motion. It was a foul, plain and simple. And had it been called, Caitlin Clark would have gone to the line for 3 free throws, with the chance to either tie or win the game. Instead, the clock expired. No whistle, no justice. What made it worse was what had happened just moments before. On the Liberty's previous possession, a far less physical interaction resulted in a foul call that sent Sabrina Ionescu to the line. The inconsistency was glaring. One team was rewarded for light contact. The other, specifically Clark and the Fever, were ignored, despite clear and aggressive defense. This wasn't just poor officiating. It felt like targeted inconsistency, and it was something fans had seen before.
Accept officiating without letting it, I guess, affect how you go about and execute the rest of the game.
Yeah, when it comes to accepting, it's like we don't really have a choice because they're going to call what they want to call. And
like, look, Aaliyah's right with that. Aaliyah is 100% right with that.
The controversy erupted immediately. Clips of the final play spread like wildfire across social media. Fans, analysts, and former players began calling out the no call for what it was, a massive mistake. Many didn't hold back, calling it rigged, calling it disrespectful, and most of all, calling it a disgrace to the game. It didn't take long before the footage became the centerpiece of a larger conversation about how Caitlin Clark has been treated in the WNBA. This wasn't an isolated incident. It was the latest chapter in a growing list of games where she's been physically targeted without the protection or respect a star of her caliber deserves.
I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games.
The WNBA referees are getting destroyed. You got the most popular player in basketball, a top 5 most popular athlete in the United States of America, and that includes some NFL player, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, and you got this athlete in a league that nobody's been watching, never turned a profit. Your system is broken against that team? Are you mental?
Clark didn't have to say much after the game. Her frustration on the court said it all. It was written all over her face, in every step she took as the final buzzer sounded. She had fought to get her team into position, carried the weight of the moment, and was denied the opportunity to finish it because of a whistle that never came. And for fans, that moment didn't just feel like a missed call, it felt like a betrayal of the game itself.
There was a back-to-back sequence, but there, were other plays throughout the game where Duana Bonner doesn't get a whistle here. Clark finds her. This is down the stretch, and Cloud comes over. By the way, good defense by Cloud. She's playing hard.
The aftermath of the no call was immediate and explosive. As soon as the final buzzer sounded, social media platforms lit up. Clips of the final play circulated across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Fans weren't just upset, they were outraged. The words robbery, bias, and agenda started trending. The reaction wasn't limited to diehard Fever supporters either. Neutral fans, sports analysts, and even former players came forward to say what everyone was thinking. Caitlin Clark was fouled, period, and the referee's decision to ignore it changed the outcome of the game. Stephanie White, head coach of the Indiana Fever, was one of the first to speak publicly. In her post-game press conference, she didn't mince words. She called the officiating egregious and pointed to the massive free throw discrepancy, -31, as undeniable proof that something was wrong.
Right after that, you get Sabrina Ionescu driving into Lexi Hull for what turns out to be the winning free throws. Sabrina, in a way, going in to Hull, right there, as you can see.
According to her, this wasn't a case of a team settling for jump shots. Her players were attacking the rim, drawing contact, and yet the calls weren't coming. She said plainly that the level of disrespect toward her team had become unbelievable. And while she made it clear that her players have to stay focused and control what they can, there was no mistaking her message. The WNBA needs to take a hard look at its officiating because what's happening isn't fair and it isn't right. But it wasn't just Stephanie White speaking out. Players from other teams started to weigh in. Fans started calling for accountability from the league. Content creators across platforms began posting breakdowns of the final play, pointing out the foul frame by frame, exposing how obvious it was. Some called for a review of the officiating crew. Others went further, demanding the WNBA step in and implement changes to ensure consistency and fairness in how games are called, especially when it involves high-profile players like Clark.
But the crazy thing is that 2 games ago when Caitlin got hacked for the whole game against the Dream when they lost, they said it and there was like, we know teams are going to hack us. And then, you want to know what they did first possession? They went and hacked Caitlin Clark from possession 1. The Dream did the second time, no calls. And then in this game, at least they called the 2 on Phoebish. At least they called the 2 on her.
And then there was Caitlin Clark herself. While she didn't launch into a tirade in front of the cameras, her frustration was visible. After the final play, She didn't storm off the court, but the disappointment was etched all over her face. During post-game interviews, she kept things professional, saying she'd need to rewatch the play before commenting in full. But her body language said what her words didn't. She felt robbed. She felt let down. She knew she'd been denied the opportunity to decide the game at the free throw line. Even her teammates echoed that sentiment. Aaliyah Boston spoke about how difficult it is to stay focused and composed when the officiating feels so one-sided. She admitted that as players, they don't have much choice. The referees are going to call what they want to call. That kind of quiet resignation only made fans more furious, because players shouldn't have to accept bad officiating. They shouldn't have to adapt to being ignored.
Yeah, and that's probably what's frustrating about it too. It's like we are 2 possessions or, from being 4-0, but there was so many little areas in this game that we could have improved. Like our defense again to start the game was poor. And we got to find a way to come out with more energy, being able to guard. And yes, they present a very tough challenge when all 5 of them can make threes and, they're setting inverted ball screens, things like that. It's a challenge, but you got to find a way to do it. If you want to win, in this league, you got to find a way to guard, you got to find a way to get stops. But yeah, I think you take that as a positive, you go back, you learn, but also we are 2 possessions away from being 4-0 and, a possession away from beating the Liberty here. So, it definitely stings, but, this is what's going to make us better.
As all of this unfolded, WNBA officials remained silent. No statements, no explanations, no accountability. That silence added fuel to the fire. The perception, right or wrong, was that the league didn't care. And in a year where Caitlin Clark is single-handedly drawing millions of new viewers to the sport, that silence felt not just careless, but disrespectful. This wasn't just about a missed call anymore. It had become something bigger, a moment that sparked a serious discussion about how stars are protected, how fairness is upheld, and how much influence referees have over the outcome of a game. For many fans, this game marked a turning point. The frustration, the emotion, the blatant lack of justice, it all boiled over. And now people are demanding change. What happened that night didn't just cost the Fever a win, it cost the league a little bit of its credibility. And Caitlin Clark's reaction, raw, honest, and human, became the voice of that frustration for millions of fans watching. What we witnessed wasn't just a missed foul call, it was a defining moment, one that exposed a deeper problem in the WNBA.
A lot of ways to continue to get better, but yeah, I did not my best shooting night. I thought I could take care of the ball a little bit better. Had some tough ones, ones where my arm was getting grabbed, but whatever.
Caitlin Clark, one of the most talented and talked about athletes in the league, was denied a fair chance to do what she does best, compete. The footage is clear, the reactions have been loud, and the silence from the league has only made it worse. This isn't just about one play. It's about a pattern of officiating that continues to ignore contact, disregard fairness, and ultimately alter the outcome of games. When a player like Caitlin Clark, who brings millions of eyes to women's basketball, is treated like this, it sends the wrong message to fans, to players, and to the sport as a whole. People are angry. Coaches are speaking out. Players are fed up. And Caitlin Clark, she's still showing up, still fighting, and still doing everything she can to win, even when the odds feel stacked against her.
It was the final play when the Fever were down 2 points with seconds left in the game. Natasha Cloud is covering Caitlin Clark. She is holding Caitlin Clark by the waist. She taps her shoulder right there. The amount of times that Tosh Cloud made contact with Caitlin Clark is endless. And again, it's really hard to watch a game and watch a game this close that is completely reliant on the refereeing.
WNBA referees definitely have an agenda against Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. The Indiana Fever don't never get any calls, and at this point, it is getting completely ridiculous.
Some controversy on that last play, no doubt about it. In my opinion, it looked like Natasha Cloud probably fouled her. It was not called.
Now the question is, will the WNBA listen? Let me know what you think in the comments. Was this just a bad call? Or is there something bigger going on here? Should the league step in and hold these refs accountable? If you're just as fired up about this as I am, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because we're not letting this go. And trust me, we'll keep calling it out every single time. Until next time, Stay sharp, stay real, and keep holding them accountable.